So I've been frustrated with the traditional medical model for quite some time. Way back background, I grew up with a mom who practiced homeopathy on the side. She wasn't licensed, but her best friend was. So I grew up with that kind of being my baseline. We also did do traditional medical as well. And then into adulthood, I became a licensed massage therapist. I've dealt a lot with essential oils. So I really believe in the body's innate ability to heal itself. And as a Christian, I believe that God has placed in us what we need and given us on the earth what we need for healing. I've seen a lot that the Western medical model is based on profits and not necessarily on health. And so I've generally gravitated more towards functional medicine, naturopathic healing, homeopathy, things of that nature, acupuncture, just kind of a lot of different modalities depending on what the needs are or where I lived, what was available, things like that. And I now live in Down East, Maine. We were in Sullivan and then Ellsworth, which around there's not a lot as far as progressive healthcare. So I'd really gotten into just the mainstream model, whatever insurance covers. I was in a financial position where that if insurance didn't cover it, I wasn't going to be able to do it. I was also geographically limited, again, on what was available nearby. I tried to be the good little girl and do what the doctor said, and it became maddening. I went to an osteopathic physician thinking, okay, great, he's going to have a different mindset. And I told him my knees are hurting terribly. I've tried new shoes. I've tried this. I've tried that. I'm double dosing acetaminophen and ibuprofen and still feeling like I need to go to the emergency room. My knees and my back hurt so bad. And he was like, well, that's what you need to be doing. Just double dose and, take this at this time and that 2 hours later and that should work and it'll get the inflammation down. You'll be fine. And I was highly disappointed. Like, no, I don't think that's the right answer. So I fired him and I went to another doctor who had been recommended by people who were more natural minded. She actually works hand in hand with a naturopath. They're not in the same office, they're not in the same practice, but they refer back and forth to each other. She fulfills prescriptions that the naturopath says, hey, I think this is a good idea, and really worked hand in hand. So I thought, okay, that'll be fantastic. I'll go see her. So I went to her. At that point, I had gained 50 pounds in a year and was not sleeping well, was having pains all over my body, was having a lot of different things going on, gut issues, and I knew something was wrong. I had already done several parasite cleanses on my own, thinking, okay, this could explain a lot of things. And some other things I'd really sought out on my own. I was going to my natural food store all the time and just looking through the vitamin section saying, okay, I know I need vitamin D. What's going to be the best way to get it? And I was getting really frustrated trying to find, okay, which one is going to work right? What's the right dosage? What things can I take together and should I not take together? Because I know that's really important. And I just felt like I was taking all these things and not getting better. So I go to the doctor and she was like, oh, well, you have fibromyalgia, which is actually now known to be a sleep problem. So there's this pill that will make you all better. And so I said, let me research it. So I research it and it's got like a black box warning or whatever the thing is. And it's like all of these things. And I post on Facebook, hey, has anyone actually taken this med? And what do you think about it? And tons of friends saying, oh my gosh, it was awful. I did this, I did that. I had these side effects. I had those side effects. You need to really look into it if you're going to take it. And after all of my research and all the personal testimonials from people I actually knew, I decided that no, this was not in alignment with what I needed and what I wanted. So we put that on the back burner. So I told her I was having severe hip pain, pretty sure it's bursitis. I'm like Dr. Google all the time. Okay, it's 3 a.m. I can't sleep. Let's look up what is causing this thing and, kind of go through the list and okay, it's not that, it's not that. No, those symptoms don't fit. Hey, wait, everything on this list is describing me. Could it be this? And, going down the rabbit holes so I went to my doctor and I'm like, pretty sure it's bursitis. Can we do the hip injections and see if that helps? She led me on for 2 to 3 months and would not do it. And then one day when I went into her office, and I'd already been crying, I'd already told her I'm going to have to quit my job because my body hurt so badly. We've got to do something. And she finally just in her office one day was like, okay, well, let's do the test to see if it's bursitis. She literally took her finger, poked my hip and was like, yep, you have bursitis, let's do the injection. And I was shocked. Like, if that's all there was to it, why couldn't we have done that 3 months ago? Why did I have to quit my job? Why did I have to be in this much pain? So she gives me the injections and within 2 days, I was so much better. My back pain was better. My hips were better. I was like, why did we put me through this? So I stuck with her for a little bit longer and it just kept being the same sort of thing. She just wanted to throw something that had a prescription with it to get me better. She even went so far as to say, your body does not process a medicine different than it processes a supplement or a nutrient. They process the same way. They are the same thing. And I said, that's not science. That's actually not science. That's not how it works. They are processed very differently. They are looked at differently. She said, your body doesn't know the difference. So, well, one's natural. It's made by God. The other's made in a lab. My body does too know the difference.
They have different interactions.
Yeah.
I could just put that there. No
Yes,
matter where it's made, two different things will have two different interactions in your body.
Yes.
And I'm a marketer. I'm not a medical, provider here, but that's pretty common knowledge. So
I was shocked.
Please.
Yeah, because she wanted me to take a thyroid medication. And I said, well, I've already tried this. I've already tried that. Here were the results. I don't remember. I'd tried a couple of different things. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I've already tried some of that. What about if we go the natural route and we do some other things? And she was like, and I said, I really don't like having prescription pill bottles on my counter. And she said, well, then just, cover over it, or just get one of your natural supplement bottles, put the medicine in it, and then it'll be fine. And I was like, you're totally not hearing. I don't want to put toxins in my body that my liver has to process that can potentially be causing this long list of side effects. I'd rather have something natural that's supporting my body instead of possibly harming my body. And she didn't get it. And she was bullying me around, and it was like one thing after another after another. I was so frustrated. So I'm kind of feeling at my wit's end. I'd also gone to a naturopath, the one that was working with her. She had failed to follow up on several really important things, and she also failed to address several really important things. So I went in saying, hey, I have a limited budget, but here's my long list of all the things that are going on. Where do we start? What do we do? And instead of saying, here's all the options, and here's what I would recommend, and here's how much it would cost, she was like, well, let's just do this. And she did one thing, and she completely ignored everything else. And then we did one more, and then we didn't talk about all the rest. So I kept getting worse, and I kept getting worse, and I kept saying, hey, what do we need to do here? And then we were responding with emails, and she just stopped responding to me. And I was like, okay, well.
This is someone in Maine?
Yeah, in Ellsworth. And she just disappeared off the planet. And this was the third time I'd worked with this person. I had already stopped working with her 2 other times, and I was kind of being reminded why. She has a fantastic knowledge base. I know she's doing some good in the world, but there were some huge missings and lackings for what I felt like I needed. So I was feeling super frustrated, and I'm looking around, what is close to me? There was nothing. Nobody could make any recommendations. Google's falling short. There was nothing. I'd kind of tried everything there was. And then one day the Med Matrix pops up on Facebook, and I look at it very suspiciously. I'm like, okay, this is too clean of a marketing production. It's got to be a scam. What's going on? So they keep coming in. Probably 2 months, I'm seeing all these Med Matrix things. I'm like, okay, I'm going to look into this. So I scope out the website. I look for Google reviews. I post on Facebook, has anyone gone here? Does anyone actually know this place? Because it seems too good to be true. And it's just, this whole marketing thing, it's speaking to everything in me. And I feel like I need to go, but I also feel like I'm about to totally get scammed. So can somebody please help me?
Wait, I'm so curious what, because I'm marketing.
It was
what was your response?
Perfect. It was just so perfect that it couldn't be real, right? It was all the things.
Wait, so I'm so curious. You said you had posted about it.
Yeah.
What was the response that you received there? Where did you get skepticism?
Yeah.
Did you get a little of everything?
I got several other people saying, yeah, I've been seeing them too, and I've been feeling the same way, and I've been wondering. And then I got one person who said, yeah, I'm actually scheduled there. So I'm curious if you schedule, we can compare notes and see what we think. And I didn't really have anyone that said, oh yeah, I went there and it was amazing. Nobody said they'd gone. But again, I'm up in Ellsworth. I'm 2.5 hours away. It's not it's in everyone's backyard. Sort of a new clinic. People hadn't really heard about it yet. So I think I'm the forerunner in my area. So I just felt so God was just leading me and saying, this is where you need to go. Just trust it and go check. And I said, well, if nothing else, I'm going to get all the blood results because you guys are going to test all the things that I asked my doctor, and they're like, why do you need that? And they look at me like I'm nutso. And then sometimes they will. I went to the osteopath and I said, I'm pretty sure I have parasites. Can you please test me? And he said, well, have you been camping in the last 6 months? I said, no. What does that have to do with anything? He said, well, if you haven't been camping in the last 6 months, you don't have parasites. And I just looked at him like he was a monkey from another planet. What? Who are you? And do you even know medicine? What? If you are on this planet, you can have parasites. That's all it takes.
What, 85% of the people, of the world population has parasites?
It's something like that. I know
crazy,
it's quite a bit.
It's very large, yeah.
So he finally says, okay, fine, I'll test you for parasites. I'm like, great, so we do a stool sample. He tests me for parasites. Turns out he only checked for Giardia and Cryptosporidium. And I was like, I'm pretty sure we would have known for sure if I had one of those too.
Yeah.
Why is that all that we tested for? And why did you not tell me that's all we were testing for? So again, super frustrated with him. That was one of the many reasons I fired him. So, being able to come in here and say, hey, do we need to look at parasites? Do we need to look at these other things? What are we going to do? And feeling like I was actually heard. And, so I did my intake interview, like the discovery call or whatever y'all call it, where you kind of just check out.
And how was that? Like when you first entered, because you said you were, skeptic of the process, and that's the first process of like us collecting the information for the providers.
Right.
So how did you feel like beginning versus post that discovery call?
Yeah, so the call, again, it kind of felt like too perfect, like too scripted, too phenomenal, right? But he was so kind and he was so compassionate and so patient. And even though it was a short call, I felt like we had all the time in the world. And I felt like he really wanted to know the details and like it really mattered. And he had compassion for me as a human, not just someone else to generate a prescription for or something like that. So I asked him all my questions. He was very patient, answered them all, guided me towards which testing sounded like it would probably be, the best for what I was trying to get to the bottom of. And then I also looked at the website. I said, hey, wait a minute. I think I would also like to have, these other things. Yeah. Would that be okay? So I did appreciate that he wasn't like trying to sell me the whole world and charge me for the whole world that I actually was asking for. Can I have more? Because that was one thing some of my Facebook respondents were saying like, well, it looks like they're just, trying to sell you supplements that they're then going to get a cut on. So be really careful, like watch out for that if they sell stuff in-house or, whatever. So, but of course, there's a business model. People have to make money and you also want to deliver and help your clients get better. I was a massage therapist for 22 years. Some of that time I sold products. I've represented essential oil lines. I've represented financial products. Like I've been in business for myself pretty much since I was 18. And I understand, one, you have to make money. Two, you have to make your customers happy. And if you're overselling, then you don't have customers that are happy. They don't come back. They don't refer. Yeah. So, yes, okay, if I have something that can help you, I'm going to offer it to you. So I would hope that if MedMatrix had something that could help me, they would offer it to me. And I would see that's a good thing, not they're just trying to get all my money. So I was, taking in the feedback from the Facebook world, but at the same time, educating the Facebook world on like that actually might be a good thing because what I want is everything in-house. I don't want to go to the natural food store and scratch my head for 3 hours looking at the 20 different vitamin Ds that are available and trying I want someone to say, here's a formulation I know, I approve, I work with, here's the dosage you need, here's what you're going to want to take it with and not take it with, and here's how the whole picture is going to go together. So to me, that was a draw. So so the intake interview went great. I felt fully confident, booked my labs, got my labs done.
And how was that experience here, coming here for your labs and then also for that InBody scan, the body composition scan? How was your experience with that? Yeah,
it was good. Everyone here is super friendly. The place is comfortable. Like it doesn't feel like a medical clinic. It feels more like just a relaxed place to kind of come. I appreciated that I am a very difficult blood draw. So I always kind of panic going into it. I've come here for a couple of blood draws and everyone's just so friendly and they take their time and they check like 5 or 6 different places. Okay, which one is going to be the best today on your body? And they have the confidence to work with all those different areas, not just like, okay, we're going here, let's make it work. Because I've had some pretty traumatizing experiences of people, digging around, failing, going to the other side, calling in backup, it's been a thing. Even in the emergency room, multiple visits, and it's been very traumatizing. So coming here, I actually feel more comfortable and more confident because I know they're going to take their time. I know they're going to find a good vein that they're comfortable working with. And it's been completely painless, zero issue at all whatsoever, the 2 times that I've come in already. So I'm very grateful for that. And the InBody scan was fine. You just stand on the scale thing and it, a few seconds later, you're done.
And what about the first time I did the InBody scan, I was like, what are all these things? Yeah. So going through that data with somebody, did you know about it? Have you done one before? Is it something that you didn't understand, something that you enjoy tracking? I know a lot of people have the app and they're able to track it. So what about that?
Yeah, it's not something that I have personal experience with. I have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was a health coach for several years with a nationwide recognized name. And a lot of the people there that lived in bigger cities and had access to InBody scans were definitely doing that on a regular basis. And I'd kind of been jealous, like, oh, I'd like to do that. So having access to it was actually pretty cool to get to experience that for the first time. And then I was a massage therapist for 22 years. So having that like knowledge of body composition and things like that from that perspective, I think it was cool. And I definitely, I was watching the webinar the other day and Dr. Sasha Rose was mentioning how, as you're going through menopause and as you're aging or any time really, you can gain muscle mass while losing fat. So you're actually getting healthier, but your weight will stay the same or it might even gain. Yeah. So if we're just looking at the scale, that's not always the helpful number to be looking at. So yes, the scale can be important. It can tell us things, but we need to be looking at more than just that. So I appreciate that y'all are taking that into account and that we can look at, what are these numbers actually made up of? Where is this coming from? And what's it saying about my body? So getting to come back in for the second one and see that my numbers had gone in the right directions was really, really inspiring because before that they had not been. Yeah.
Part of it. Tracking your journey. Yeah. So let's talk about your first provider visit, right? You had all this information, all this background. And who did you see? Dr. Rose?
Yeah, I see Dr. Colin Renaud.
Oh, Dr. Colin.
He says Renard. I always want to say Renaud. So yeah. Dr. Colin.
So have you been watching Colin's webinars too?
I had been watching Colin's webinars even before I met with him. So it's fun. It's like, oh, I'm meeting a celebrity because like I already feel like I know him and I've seen his expertise and I've seen his thought process. And I love that you have all the bios on the website so I could really read about everyone. So before I even booked my discovery call, I'd kind of looked through, okay, who are these people? Mm-hmm. What background are they coming from? What education are they bringing to the picture? What's their approach? And he was one of the ones that had stuck out for me as I think that he would really be awesome. And so the fact that y'all matched me with him without me asking, I thought was incredible. And having seen all the webinars and knowing his knowledge base, I knew immediately that I was in good hands, that I wasn't going to have to educate my doctor, that my doctor could educate me, which is how I feel it should be. And so that was just really refreshing. So it's been great working with him. And, right off the bat, he was like, okay, low hanging fruit, iron and D. Okay. I've known those for a long time, but I'm like, a lot of head scratching and a lot of, trying to put things together. So I really appreciated he was able to say, hey, I'm going to put these on full script. It's a source I know. It's a source I trust. Here's your dosage. Here's how you're taking it. And
full script is awesome.
Yeah. And that the iron he prescribed has C already built into it because I know that you need to take C with iron. And there's been this big question for me of, okay, but how much C? Some people say you need this much. Some people say you need this much. So just knowing, okay, that's done. And then whatever C I add on is something else, but at least I've got that handled and it's only one pill. It's not two different things. So that was fantastic. And then looking through my symptoms, which I may seem like a perfectly healthy person, I have 5 pages that I wrote out of here's what's wrong with me. Can we please fix it?
Yeah.
And so he was really patient. We talked through all the things and he said, this really sounds like mold. Like, do you know, is your house moldy? Are you exposed to mold anywhere? I said, I don't think so, but let's go on a discovery and let's find out because I've actually been really curious about that. So he ordered the urine mycotoxin panel and it came back with, I think, 5 or so different mold, one of which was, or the mycotoxins, one of which was indicative of black mold. And I was like, well, isn't that fun? And so we talked about that. And after our call, I called a mold inspector and I had him come out to our house. And he said, if I were you, I would recommend you need to move immediately. There is black mold growing in our basement in the actual joists of our house. The basement floods every time it rains. And the dehumidifier that was down there had been set at 70% instead of the 40 to 60, which is healthy rain. So it was just a place for black mold to grow and process. We'd also had a couple of water leaks under the kitchen sink and the bathroom sink downstairs. And I was renting and I knew the water leaks were fixed. Apparently they should have been professionally dried and they were not. And so black mold grew under both sinks because there were already spores in the house and with that moisture level. So we were living in a toxic environment and the mold guy came out and he was like, okay, not only is the basement a disaster, but look here, you've got mold growing up your kitchen walls. You've got mold under your dining table. you've got mold on your hutch where your food is kept. Like there's mold on different furniture items around your house. And I was like, I just thought that was dust. Like I honestly did not know that was mold. And I'm allergic to mold, which I do know because I had allergy testing as a teenager. And I know me and mold, we don't get along. Yeah, so we got that testing done and 2 days later we left. And we went, my kids and I've got 2 kids, and we went to a hotel and I was like, I don't know what's next. I trust God. I know this is going to get taken care of, but I know we can't live there anymore. My kids and I had been sick almost nonstop for 6 months. We'd been having one respiratory infection after another. It was barely a week that we had wellness in the house before somebody picked it up again. And I went to both of my kids' doctors. I was like, this is not normal. What is going on? And they were like, oh yeah. Like looking back historically, they've been sick this many times. It was this often. It lasted for this long. They were like, yeah, that's totally normal. I said, I don't think so. I'm not buying that that's totally normal. So again, Western medicine failed. Like they weren't asking any questions of why are we all getting sick so often. Like I couldn't keep down a job. I couldn't, like kids are failing in school, falling behind in school because they can't focus because they're sick. And apparently black mold is stealing all of our brains and stealing all of our energy. And
that is so interesting that Colin, like out of all these things that you thought, oh, it could have been all this stuff.
Right.
He said, actually, we had a mold episode on the webinar too. Like they went through like mycotoxins and mold and like fungus, like all this stuff and how to detox basically of that.
Right.
And I really hadn't known about that. So I'm behind the webinar. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I can't imagine like coming saying, I think it could be all these things and him saying something totally different.
Right.
And it being correct. Like that is really, really interesting.
Yes. So I'm very grateful that we were able to get that removed. So it took 2 months to pack everything out of the house because I was educating myself on mold and okay, what of our personal items, what can we keep? What do we have to throw away? What can be cleaned and what's the proper way to clean that? And how do I keep myself and my kids safe and healthy while we're going through this whole process? Yeah. So my landlord was supportive and he let us on the lease and he got us dumpsters and was like, just fill them up. Let me know. I'm not pressuring you. Whenever you guys are done and ready, let me know. And we'll start the, reconstruction process and we'll bring in the mold people and all that. So we filled 2 dumpsters with stuff. We left, in addition to that, we left all of our furniture in the house and probably another half dumpster full of garbage bags of stuff in the house. So we left probably 80-90% of our stuff behind of a 2,000 square foot house.
And can I just say, like, that is an incredibly hard thing to do.
It was, but God was with us and it went really well. I'm proud of my kids. They were resilient. They let go of some pretty precious things, like my daughter's stuffed animal collection of like 80 animals. She got down to 20. But yeah, there was a lot of like just really saying, okay, what's important? What's replaceable? What did we not really need to begin with? And just going through that process. So, 2 months of still going to the house, 2 months of still being around the mycotoxins. We were living in a hotel, so there's an added level of stress there. But we got through it. And a month ago, we finally got into a new house that was built in 2025. So it's newer, it's fresh, it's had time to off gas from all of the new build and the materials and things like that. And so we've been there about a month. We're still a lot of stress, just not necessarily bad, but just, we're furnishing an entire house. We're in a new neighborhood, a new place, but it just really feels like a bright new beginning. And in these 3 months since we've been out of the mold house, we've only had one illness and it lasted approximately 2 days instead of 2 weeks.
Incredible.
Which is what it was before. And it was, my young daughter who had been out with a whole bunch of kids at a bounce house all day. So, okay, germ central, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't too surprising, but she processed it like that and neither me or my other child got it. God. That to me is a huge testament that yes, that house was poisoning us and was a huge contributing factor to all the health. So yes, am I perimenopausal? Absolutely. Did my diet change? Yes, it did. Have I had a lot of life incidences happen that have, upped my stress levels immensely? Yes, I have. And this mold thing was either causing or exacerbating everything.
Yes, it does trigger. All these other things, it can trigger dormant.
Right. And the gut issues, I was having silent reflux and it was causing a cough. And then the cough was causing bladder incontinence that I was going to physical therapy for. And like nobody was putting it all together. Like I didn't know that this acid reflux reflux thing could be caused by mold. But since leaving the house, I'm hardly coughing. I've made it through this whole interview without coughing. Whereas 3 months ago, it would have been every other sentence I would be coughing, and coughing just, it was a constant. So a lot of these things, just being out of the mold, and, subsequently we did start the protocol with Dr. Colin of doing just supporting my body through its own detox ways. So we're not detoxing yet because we need to build my body up to be able to handle a full detox.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of, okay, let's support my systems. Let's support what's needed. And what's been really amazing is he prescribed me several different supplements. And I'm on a lot of different email lists for a lot of natural living and healthy living lifestyle things. And I keep getting all these emails and it's like, oh, you should try this. And I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing. What's it called? Oh, I've already taken that. Yay, Dr. Colin.
Yeah.
And that's happened on more than one occasion. So that just really builds my confidence level in him, that he is on the cutting edge, that he is paying attention, that he is getting to the root cause, which is why I came to MedMatrix for the root cause medicine instead of, well, let's just put Band-Aids over all the things and forget about what caused them.
That's incredible. That's actually like an insane story.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you are just like at the precipice of something new. Like, that is incredible to hear.
It is.
Okay, so let's break this down. Before you came here, what were the challenges you were facing in your everyday life in contrast to right now?
Okay.
What are those challenges? Are you facing them? Have you noticed any of these improvements? Obviously you have. You're out of this like toxic mold house.
Yes.
So can you tell me what those are?
All right. So from pre-MedMatrix to now, I've been freed from living in a moldy environment that I did not know I was living in, by doing the proper sleuthing to find that out. I have more energy. I have more brain bandwidth to multitask, to deal with all the things of life. I am sleeping better, which is phenomenal. I'm not waking up at 2 or 3 every single morning and being awake for a couple of hours. I'm waking up at like 6, which is much more reasonable. And I think as soon as my eye mask comes in, I'll probably sleep later than that because I think it's the sun coming in. So I'm sleeping better. I'm not as grumpy. I'm not barking at my kids as much. They have noticed it, especially my daughter has been like, hey mom, since we left that house, like, you've been a lot nicer. Like, yes, I agree. Yeah. It's just everything in life is easier to deal with and easier to manage. Now, it's not perfect. I don't get it right 100% of the time, but everything's just been so much better, so much better. So one thing that I still deal with a lot is pain and inflammation in my body. But after 2 years of toxic mold exposure and everything else, and I've had some injuries, so that's one thing that we'll be working on with this next go around, is really looking at like, okay, this inflammation in my body, this pain, these injuries that are not healing, what's next on that as we're continuing to detox and heal from the mold exposure and support my body's natural systems and deficiencies and things like that.
I'm sure as you build up your immune system too, the inflammation will, like, you'll find that root.
Right.
That's just kind of how it goes. Colin was always, and I can say that because I've heard him say it 5 times on the webinar. So
yes, exactly.
So if you were to explain, obviously, like I get to take a lot, which is like a very blessing experience because it really never gets old. I get to hear all these insane stories of people and how it's impacted their life. So A, thank you for sharing with us. B, thank you for sharing with me. Like, that's incredible. And Tiffany, like, that is incredible. You were to explain functional medicine to somebody, what would you tell them it is?
So I actually get asked all the time, what is functional medicine? When I tell people I'm driving all the way to Portland, like over a 2-hour drive, to go to this functional medicine doctor, they're like, what even is that? And I tell them it's getting to the root cause. It's looking at what is actually causing whatever your symptoms are that you're experiencing, and what's the easiest way to get there. What are the pathways? What systems need to be supported instead of what symptoms need to be suppressed?
Yes.
So to me, that's where we are. We're looking at what is the body actually telling us? What are lab results actually telling us? What's going on inside my body today, and how do we deal with that, instead of, oh, let's open up a manual and it says, oh, you have this, so we're going to prescribe you this med at this dose, here you go. Which is, to me, very impersonal. So functional medicine is more personal, it's more individual It's more, body-based, looking at what are you presenting today? How did you get here? And then how do we fix it? Because you can have two different people presenting with the same symptoms, but they can be very different causes, different pathways of how that occurred, and different pathways of how to bring healing to that area. So I really appreciate in functional medicine that they're bringing in a lot of different mindsets and looking at nutritional therapy, looking at changing lifestyle, let's look at your environment and what might possibly be contributing to this. So that to me is more functional medicine.
Somebody was on the verge, they're like, I'm a little bit skeptical, kind of like you were. I'm a little bit skeptical, I don't know if I should do this. What would you say?
I'd say pray, and if you feel led, then try it.
All right, that's awesome. Is there anything else that you want to share that you want somebody to know when when they watch this?
Yeah, so I just want people to know that this place is genuine, that the doctors really do care, that they do have the mindset, the experience, and the practice to back their claims, that they are addressing root medicine, that they are helping people to get better, and that they don't look at you like you're crazy when you tell them what you're experiencing, and that they're not going to just give you some pat answer and send you on your way. There's no gaslighting that I've experienced here, which I have experienced in many other clinics, and it's just, to me, it's worth the investment. It is extremely pricey, I will say that, but it's worth it in the quality of life and in the not feeling like you're losing your mind because you're telling someone what you're authentically experiencing. To be validated and heard and to be offered real solutions is worth every penny. And one more thing, since getting out of our moldy house, I have lost 7 pounds without even trying because I'm away from the toxins the fat was wrapping around the toxins and causing me to continue to gain. So that's been amazing.